I think most of the points are clear to everyone. If there is any doubt regarding these three, you can ask. Otherwise, I will move forward. Okay. So today we are going to discuss the what is the difference between the joint liability, several liability, and joint and several liability. These are the three important concepts that we are going to discuss. The first is joint liability. So, any idea about joint liability? So, the study we said we are going to we will discuss today. So, joint liability. So, in case of joint liability, what as the name itself suggests, the joint liability, it means the number of defendant is more than one. It means two or more than two. The number of defendant, number of tort feature is more than one or two or more than two. Okay. So in this case, so we have to decide whether they are jointly liable or not. So it is clear that the number of defendant will be more than one. Okay. In all the cases, whether it is joint liability, whether it is a several liability or separate liability, or whether it is a joint or several liability. So now we are going to discuss the joint liability. In case of joint liability, the number of defendant is more than one. It means two or more than two. So both defendants are liable. Okay. So both are jointly liable. When we say they are jointly liable, what does it mean? It means I will give one illustration. Suppose uh, A is plaintiff and B and C are the defendant. Okay, so both plan to defame the A. Okay, A is a plaintiff, B and C are defendant. B and C plan to defame the A. So in this case, the plaintiff is A and defendant is B and C. In this case, the B and C are jointly liable. Then what does it mean by jointly liable? So here, so the compensation has to be paid by the defendant. If they have done any something wrong, if they have done the tortious act, so they have to pay the compensation. So who will pay the compensation? Both should pay or one of them should pay. This is the moot question here we have to decide. So in the case of joint liability, both are liable to pay. In joint liability, both have to pay the full amount. Okay. So in case of joint liability, so suppose one of them disappear, one of them become insolvent, one of them dies. So the other have to pay the whole amount. And even if both are present, so they have to pay the full amount. Okay. So this is joint liability. Is it clear?
सर एक बार और प्लीज.
In case through illustration, I will explain. There are three persons, A, B, and C. Okay. There are three persons, A, B, and C. A is the plaintiff, B and C are defendant. So here the number of defendant is more than one. Okay, it means two. It could be more than two. Both B and C hatch a conspiracy to defame the A. Okay. So in this case, the B and C will be both jointly liable. Okay. So now the question comes to who will pay the compensation. If they have done the tortious act of defamation, so both have to pay the compensation. So the who will pay the compensation? Here both are jointly liable to pay the compensation, but the compensation has to paid only once. Okay. So suppose there could be another situation, both have to pay and the compensation has to be paid once. And the second situation could be if the one of the defendant become the insolvent, one of the defendant disappear, one of them dies. In that case, what will happen? The one, only one defendant will be left, so he has to pay the whole amount of the compensation. This is all about the joint liability. Is it clear?
यस सर.
हाँ. आवाज आपकी नहीं आ रही है, थोड़ा सा सही कीजिए। आवाज आपकी क्लियर नहीं आ रही है। ओके। हाँ, या 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 that will come under several liability. That will be decided under several liability. There the causal relationship is seen there. इसमें जो ज्वाइंट लाइबिलिटी में जो है ना, उसको नहीं देखते। ज्वाइंट लाइबिलिटी में मतलब causal relationship in how you have damaged the, how you have done the tortious activity, it is not seen. Both have contributed equally. ठीक है? In case of joint liability, both the defendant, both the tortfeasor have contributed equally, so that's why they are jointly liable. Both are jointly liable. Through the example, I explained it. In case of defamation, there are three parties: A, B, and C. A is plaintiff, B and C are defendant. They are tortfeasor, okay? And they have done the tortious act of defamation. So in case of defamation, what will happen? They will hatch a conspiracy. Okay? वो क्या करते हैं? एक षड्यंत्र कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? और दोनों इक्वली लाइबल होंगे, दोनों इक्वली कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं ना, ठीक है? उसमें दोनों इक्वली कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें दोनों ज्वाइंटली लाइबल हैं। जहां तक कंपनसेशन की बात है, तो उसमें जो है दोनों को तो कंपनसेशन देना ही है, लेकिन उसमें ये भी देखना है कि दो बार कंपनसेशन नहीं पेड होना है, एक ही बार होना है, ठीक है? तो उसमें क्या करेंगे, एक ही बार होना है तो दोनों मिल के दे देंगे, या कोई एक दे देगा। और तीसरा दूसरा सिचुएशन है, कोई मर गया, कोई गायब हो गया, कोई इंसॉल्वेंट हो गया, उसमें भी जो एक बचेगा उसको फुल देना है। ये नहीं बोल सकता है वो कि उसका हिस्सा मैं नहीं दूंगा। ठीक है? ठीक है? सबको क्लियर है? अरे बोलिए।
Yes, sir.
और अब आते हैं सेवरल लाइबिलिटी पे, ठीक है? इसको सेपरेट लाइबिलिटी भी बोलते हैं, ठीक है? तो इसको पहले मैं इलस्ट्रेशन दे देता हूं, तब मैं वो उसका जो डेफिनेशन है वो बोल दूंगा। चाहे इसमें इलस्ट्रेशन ये है कि जैसे मान लीजिए कि यहाँ भी तीन लोग हैं, ए, बी एंड सी, ठीक है? तीन लोग हैं, ए, बी एंड सी। तो इसमें क्या करता है, ए जो है अपने हाथ में एक तलवार लेता है, ठीक है? एक
हाँ
तलवार लिए हुए, एक लाठी लिए हुए, मान लीजिए लाठी है, तलवार लिए हुए, और वो मतलब वो दौड़ता है बी को मारने के लिए, ठीक है? आवाज आ रही है ना?
हाँ हाँ, आवाज
तो
आ रही है, बोलिए।
ये अपने हाथ में तलवार लिए हुए या लाठी लिए हुए वो दौड़ रहा है कि मैं बी को मार दूंगा, ठीक है? तो उसी बीच में क्या करता है कि सी आता है, ठीक है? दोनों जैसे ए बी एंड सी, दोनों बी सी दोनों एक साथ बैठे हुए हैं, एक जगह हैं, और ए जो है अपना तलवार या लाठी लेके आता है, बोलता है कि मैं बी को मार दूंगा। तो उसी बीच में क्या करता है कि सी जो है, सी उसके हाथ से जो तलवार लेता है या लाठी लेता है और उसको मार देता है, ठीक है? ए को मार देता है, ठीक है? या मान लीजिए उसको स्टैब कर दिया, उसको चाकू मार दिया, ठीक है? उसी बीच में। तब इसमें जो है ए बी एंड सी है, तीन लोग हैं ना, इसमें इनकी लाइबिलिटी जो है अलग अलग फिक्स होगी, ठीक है? किसी ने चाकू मारा, किसी ने सिर्फ दौड़ा चाकू लेके या तलवार लेके, ठीक है? इनकी लाइबिलिटी कॉजल रिलेशनशिप इसमें देखना है, ठीक है? कि इसमें जो एक ठो तो लेके दौड़ रहा था बस, और दूसरा जो है उसको लेके उसको मार ही दिया।
हेलो।
ठीक है। हेलो।
हाँ
जी
रंजीत जी,
सर।
हाँ रंजीत जी, एक
जी
मिनट,
सर।
एक बात हम क्लियर करना चाहते हैं इसमें।
जी।
सौरभ, देखिए, जब दो व्यक्ति, वेयर देयर इज अ टू पर्सन एंड टू पर्सन डिड एनी एक्ट इन परसुएंस ऑफ कॉमन डिजाइन, ठीक है, तो देन दीज टू पर्सन आर ज्वाइंटली लायबल। कॉमन डिजाइन कहने का मतलब क्या हो गया? कॉमन डिजाइन का मतलब हो गया दे आर प्री डिटरमाइंड कि हम लोग को ये काम करना है। जैसे हम और आप दो व्यक्ति हैं, हम लोग दोनों ने एक प्री डिटरमाइंड प्लान किया कि हम लोग को चल के रंजीत सर को पिट देना है, ठीक है, तो हम लोग कॉमन डिजाइन है, तो हम लोग दोनों ज्वाइंटली लायबल होंगे या अगर रिजल्ट प्रोड्यूस हो जाता है तो, ठीक है। इवन इफ की जैसे पीटने का काम जो है एक ही आदमी कर रहा है, दो आदमी नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन चूंकि हम लोग का कॉमन डिजाइन है, वी डिड दिस tortious act in pursuance of common design, so they we are jointly liable. अब सेवरल लाइबल के लिए क्या है कि कॉमन डिजाइन नहीं होगा लेकिन रिजल्ट एक ही प्रोड्यूस हो गया। जैसे दो अपोजिट डायरेक्शन से बाइक आ रही है और एक ही आदमी को धक्का मारा, तो दोनों बाइक बाइक राइडर्स का कोई कॉमन डिजाइन नहीं है कि हम लोग को इसको धक्का मारना है, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे सेवरल लाइबिलिटी होगा, इंडिविजुअल है। तो यानी कि ज्वाइंट लाइबिलिटी के लिए हमेशा याद रखना है कि दो व्यक्ति और दोनों, दो या दो से अधिक व्यक्ति और दो सब मिलके एक कॉमन डिजाइन के तहत कोई रिजल्ट को प्रोड्यूस किया, मतलब रिजल्ट प्रोड्यूस करने का मतलब टॉर्टियस एक्ट को प्रोड्यूस किया, तो ज्वाइंट लायबल होगा। ठीक है, कोई डाउट? ठीक है रंजीत सर, कंटिन्यू करें।
हाँ हाँ, तो सेवरल लाइबिलिटी में जो एग्जांपल मैं दे रहा था, तो इससे क्लियर हो गया कि जो जितना एक्ट किया टॉर्टियस एक्ट, वो उसके लिए रेस्पॉन्सिबल है। ठीक है। और वो इंडिपेंडेंटली लाइबल है अपने एक्ट के लिए। ठीक है। हाँ
नहीं है सर।
हाँ,
हाँ
कॉमन डिजाइन ऐसा चीज नहीं है ना, मतलब वो आउट आउट ऑफ सडन होता है ये। ठीक है। और अब आते हैं ज्वाइंट एंड सेवरल लाइबिलिटी। एक तो हमने देख लिया ज्वाइंट लाइबिलिटी, एंड वी हैव सीन द सेवरल लाइबिलिटी। नाउ वी कम टू द ज्वाइंट एंड सेवरल लाइबिलिटी. In case of joint and several liability, what will happen? They are at the same time they are jointly liable as well as severally liable. Okay, I will give one illustration. Suppose I am an electrician. Okay, suppose A is electrician and B is a house owner. Okay, and he has called the A to install the heater. Okay, installed the water heater in his house. Okay, and he has installed, and again he called the C, who is also a electrician. He has approved that this water heater has been installed properly, there is no issue. Okay, but later on the water heater exploded, and then in this case, the A and C will be jointly and severally liable. Okay, इसमें 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 क्या है कि एक हाउस ओनर भी है, वो क्या करता है, एक इलेक्ट्रिशियन को बुलाता है कि मेरे यहाँ गीजर लगा दो। ठीक है, वो गीजर लगा देता है। उसके बाद सी को भी बुलाता है, वो अप्रूव कर देता है कि सही लगा है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। ठीक है। अब उस केस में जो है, उसके बाद जो है कुछ दिन के बाद वो एक्सप्लोड कर जाता है। ठीक है। तो उसमें उस केस में जो क्या है, ए एंड सी जो है ज्वाइंटली एंड सेवरली लाइबल है। तो ज्वाइंटली और सेवरली लाइबल है, तो इस केस में जो है, इस इस केस में जो है दूसरा चीज जो देखना है कि कंपनसेशन कौन पे करेगा। ठीक है। तो कंपनसेशन जो पे करेगा, मान लीजिए बी ने ए के खिलाफ केस कर दिया। ठीक है। तो टॉर्टियस एक्ट के लिए ए के खिलाफ केस किया, लेकिन ये दोनों ज्वाइंटली और सेवरली लाइबल हैं। तो पेमेंट तो ए ने कर दिया, कंपनसेशन ए ने पेड कर दिया, लेकिन जो कंपनसेशन पेड किया उसका आधा हिस्सा जो है वो सी से ले सकता है। ठीक है। हाँ, उसमें जो है हाफ ऑफ द पेमेंट, हाफ ऑफ द कंपनसेशन विल बी पेड बाय सी, even though the only A has paid the full amount of compensation. तो वो जो एडजस्टमेंट जो है वो ए और सी करेंगे अपने में, और या तो ए बी जो है सी के अगेंस्ट कर दिया तो ए को कंपनसेट करना पड़ेगा सी को। ठीक है।
नहीं, मतलब सर का कहना है ना, फॉर द पॉइंट ऑफ पेमेंट, जैसे दोनों लाइबिलिटी, मतलब दोनों तो लाइबल हो गया टॉट के लिए ज्वाइंट लाइबिलिटी में, ठीक है। अब फॉर द पॉइंट ऑफ, मतलब ऑन द, फॉर द पॉइंट ऑफ पेमेंट ऑफ कंपनसेशन, अब कौन किसको कितना पेमेंट करेगा। दो आदमी लाइबल है, एक आदमी को कंपनसेट करना है, तो अगर एक आदमी कंपनसेट कर दिया तो दूसरा उससे वो ले सकता है कंपनसेशन। तो पेमेंट का ज्वाइंटली और सिमिलरली दोनों लाइबिलिटी होगा, लाइबिलिटी है। ठीक है। जैसे मान लीजिए कि प्लेंटिफ के, हाँ अब ऐसे, नहीं नहीं, जैसे एक तरह सोचिए कि दो आदमी डिफेंडेंट हो गया, एक आदमी प्लेंटिफ हो गया। अब प्लेंटिफ चाहे तो दोनों डिफेंडेंट पे केस कर सकता है, तो उसका ऑप्शन है ना चॉइस, या उसने केवल एक आदमी पे ही केस किया। ठीक है, तो अगर एक पे केस किया तो उसने पूरा पेमेंट ले लिया उससे। अब जो पूरा पेमेंट किया है वो अदर पार्टी से रेस्ट ऑफ द अमाउंट, हाफ ऑफ द अमाउंट को लेगा ना। बात समझ रहे हैं सौरभ, कि पेमेंट कंपनसेशन पेमेंट के लिए ज्वाइंटली और सेवरली दोनों लाइबिलिटी होती है। ऐसे ऐसा नहीं है कि जैसे मान लीजिए एक ही आदमी पे केस किया तो वो बोलेगा कि हम आधा ही पेमेंट करेंगे, उसको पूरा देना पड़ेगा। अब वो है, वो दूसरे आदमी से ले लेगा अगर ज्वाइंटली केस नहीं किया है तो। समझ में आया। अरे सौरभ, जैसे मान लीजिए हम लोगों ने एग्जाम्पल, अरे ऐसे कनेक्ट करने की कोई बात नहीं है। जैसे मान लीजिए हम लोगों ने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया था कि सौरभ और आलोक सर मिलके एक कॉमन डिजाइन के तहत रंजीत सर को पीटे। ठीक है। अब रंजीत सर के पास ऑप्शन है कि दोनों पे केस करें, दोनों को पार्टी बनाए, या सिर्फ हमको पार्टी बना दें। रंजीत सर ने सिर्फ हम ही को पार्टी बनाया और हमसे पूरा कंपनसेशन डिमांड किया, तो हम वहां ही नहीं बोलेंगे कि हम नहीं देंगे, हमको देना पड़ेगा। तो हम पूरा पैसा दिए तो हम आपसे लेंगे ना, आप भी ना कॉमन डिजाइन में शामिल थे, लेंगे ना। हाँ, तो यही बोल रहे हैं सर कि फॉर द पेमेंट ऑफ पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ पेमेंट ऑफ कंपनसेशन, द लाइबिलिटी विल बी आइदर ज्वाइंटली और सिवरली। अगर इंडिविजुअल केस किया तो सिवरली लाइबल हो गया। हाँ
सर, अगर जो आपके साथ जो आपका पार्टनर था वो रिफ्यूज कर देता है आपका क्लेम लेने से, तो फिर आप उसके ऊपर केस कर सकते हैं।
हाँ सर, हाँ क्यों नहीं केस करेंगे, इंडेमनीफाई करने के लिए केस करेंगे ना उसको,
सर
कंट्रीब्यूशन
आपने तो आपने आपका पूरा दे दिया, फिर अगर उसने नहीं दिया तो कर सकता है ना।
हाँ 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 हाँ, यही बोलना चाह रहे हैं सर कि लाइबिलिटी कंपनसेशन पेमेंट करने का ज्वाइंटली और सिवरली दोनों है। ये जिस पे हुआ
ओके
उसको
सर।
पेमेंट कर देना है, बाकी दूसरे से वसूल लेना है।
एक चीज इसमें ये है कि why we are why we are trying to understand the joint liability, several liability, joint and several liability. The
क्योंकि वर्ड
basic
यूज
this
होते रहते
concept is related with the paying of compensation.
हैं।
Although in majority of the cases the both parties are implicated in any case. कोई भी मान लीजिए आप प्लेंटिफ हो तो केस तो दोनों पे फाइल करते हो, इन प्रैक्टिकल वे में आप दोनों पे फाइल करते हो। ये जो है कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं। ऐसा नहीं होता है कि आप एक ही पे केस फाइल करते हो। जब
करेक्ट,
पार्टी बनाते हो प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में क्या करते हो, जब पार्टी बनाते हो तो सबको बनाते हो ना,
सबको बनाएंगे,
यही
वो
होता है
डिफरेंट
ना।
पॉइंट होते हैं।
सबको पार्टी आप बनाते हैं, लेकिन ये हम लोग ये समझने के लिए कर रहे हैं कि कंपनसेशन कौन पे करेगा, इसलिए हम लोग ये सारे कंसेप्ट पढ़ रहे हैं। अदरवाइज इन रियल लाइफ वी मेक ऑल ऑफ देम एज ए पार्टी। ठीक है। हाँ हाँ।
बोलिए।
हम्म, हाँ
हाँ,
हाँ।
नहीं तो इंडिविजुअल लाइबिलिटी होगा सौरभ, जब कॉमन डिजाइन नहीं है तो कहाँ से होगा? क्लियर हो गया। अलग अलग हमला करेगा तो अपना अपने हिसाब के ग्रेविटी के हिसाब से लाइबल होगा। नहीं होगा
ज्वाइंट
कॉमन
में जैसे सर ने बोला कॉमन डिजाइन चाहिए, इसमें सेवरल लाइबिलिटी में और सेपरेट लाइबिलिटी और इंडिपेंडेंट लाइबिलिटी में उसमें कॉमन डिजाइन नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है।
चाहिए।
और तो ये बेसिकली जो है आपका कंपनसेशन से रिलेटेड है, ठीक है। कंपनसेशन कौन पे करेगा नहीं पे करेगा, यहाँ पे जो है कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आता है, ठीक है। तो यही है, ये समझ में आ गया।
हाँ कंटिन्यू कीजिए सर।
Okay. So now we'll move ahead with the concept of analyzing a tort case. Okay. So as we know, if in any case the fact is narrated by the plaintiff, okay, in that case you will have to decide whether this case falls, whether the fact is suited for the which branch of law. Okay. So as we know, for the law of tort there is no codified law. We are not having any act for the law of torts. For only for the 2-3 torts we are having a act like Consumer Protection Act, Motor Vehicles Act. Okay, so these are the law for the specific tortious active act. Okay, we are not having any comprehensive act for the tortious act. Okay, so firstly we have to analyze the case. If any fact is narrated by the plaintiff, so we have to decide whether the fact is suited for law of contract, law of crime, or for any other branch of law. Okay, so how you will decide whether the fact of the case falls under the category of the tort. Okay, so for that purpose, how we can decide what should be done? So for that's why we are studying the concept of analyzing a tort case. So as we know, the first thing that we have to see, so whether any other law is in existence or not, for the fact whatever has been narrated by the plaintiff, whether any other branch of law exists or not. If there is not any law for that fact, so we'll come to the law of torts. So in law of torts, what we see, the first thing is we have to see the implicated duty. As we know, in case of law of torts, the legal duty is imposed on each and every individual of the society. Okay, being a member of a society, we are under an obligation, we are under a legal duty to behave in a proper manner. Okay, the first thing we have to do, who owes a duty to whom? Okay, the first is implicated duty. So here under this head, we have to see who owes a duty to whom and what is the content of this duty. The second is if the person has been identified, that person is under a duty to perform in a proper manner. So we have to see whether he has breached that duty or not, whether this duty has been breached by that particular person, who has breached that duty, in what manner he has breached that duty. Okay, and the third is the harm. After having breached that duty, whether any harm has been caused to any other person or not, against whom this harm has been caused, that thing we have to do. And the next thing is we have to see whether this harm is owned by some person or a group of person. Who has caused the harm? We have to specifically identify. So for what purpose we will have to identify the ownership of the harm? To decide the defendant, who is defendant in this case. And for what purpose we are looking for implicated duty? Who owes a duty to whom? So here we have to decide the plaintiff. Who is the plaintiff? The duty was against whom? Okay, and who has breached the duty, and whether harm has been caused or not. All these things has to be seen. If any fact has been narrated by the plaintiff to a lawyer, the lawyer has to decide whether whether there was implicated duty or not, whether the duty was breached or not. After having breached that duty, whether any harm has been caused to other person or to property or to chattel or not, and who has caused that harm. Okay, so all these things has to be decided by a legal practitioners. After having decided, after having identified all these points, so suppose this case is for the tortious activity. Okay, so in that case, suppose you are a lawyer and the defendant approaches you. In that case, what you will do? Suppose you are a lawyer for defendant. The first part is related with a lawyer of a plaintiff. He will see whether there was implicated duty or not, whether that duty was breached or not, whether harm has been caused or not, and who has caused the harm. The first part is related with the plaintiff's lawyer. Now we come to the defense. If the if all the condition have been fulfilled, so obviously that person will be liable for the tortious act. Okay, so in that case, suppose you are a lawyer for the defendant. In that case, what you will do? Obviously, will look for the whether any defense is available to my client or not. Okay, you have to see whether I am having any defense that can be pleaded for the my client as a defendant. So here the first defense he can take, as we know, general defenses are available to the defendant. Okay, so obviously he will take the plea of these defenses. The first defense is the consent of the victim and plaintiff. That is expressed or implied. Voluntary, non-fit, injuria. There are so many things. Okay, so that is related with the consent of the victim and the plaintiff. If the plaintiff has given the consent to any risk or any danger, so in that case that defense can be taken by the defendant's lawyer. He can take the defense of this point. The law cannot attribute the liability on that person who has given the consent. If the plaintiff have given the consent to the risk, so that defense can be taken by the defendant's lawyer. Second is a self defense. The second is the self defense. If some tortious activity has been committed by the defendant for his self defense, in that case he will be absolved of the liability of the tort. So I will give one example. Self defense, as you know, the self defense, suppose someone is coming towards you to cause harm, and in self defense you act, and that act should be reasonable one. So in that case you can take the plea of self defense. Suppose I am running towards you to stab you. Okay, and you take the reasonable defense, reasonable self defense, and you try to defend yourself by reasonable force. In that case you can take the help of, even though you have caused harm to the other party, in that case you can take the help of this defense, self defense. The next is the defense of others. Even if you have done the tortious act for the defense of others, even in that case you can take the defense. And this is you can take the plea of the defense of others. I can give one illustration. Suppose I'm having a child, okay, with me, and someone is coming to kill my child, okay, and in saving that child I kill that other person. So in that case I can take the plea of the defense of others. To defend the other person, I did the tortious act. Okay, so but that should be reasonable one. In that case the defense of other is available to the party, to the defendant. Next is the defense of property. To defend your own property or defend the property of others also, you can do the tortious act also, and that defense can be taken by the defendant. And the next is the capacity of defendant. As we know, in the capacity of the parties, you must have heard whether the defendant is capable of doing the tortious act or not. As we know, there are so many. Suppose the person is intoxicated person is sovereign, is a sovereign. Suppose he is the ambassador of a particular country, whether he can be sued or not. So all this defense can be taken by the defendant. If he is incapacitated by the through the law, he cannot be sued under the law of torts. So the capacity of the defendant can be taken as a plea to defend the defendant. The next is reasonable mistake, including perceived threat of harm by the defendant. While defending yourself, you can under the reasonable mistake you can commit the tortious act. Suppose A is a security guard in a jewelry shop. Okay, some customers are, because the customers come under a mistaken belief, he thinks that the particular person is stealing gold, a piece of gold, and under mistaken belief he caught that person, and that person is illegally confined. Okay, he is detained for certain period of time, suppose for half an hour. After that the police comes and he made an inquiry. Under a reasonable mistake, he has caught a wrong person rather than the thief. So in that case, although the tortious act of the illegal confinement has been committed, but the plea can be taken by the defendant of the reasonable mistake. Under the reasonable mistaken belief, he committed the tortious act. That's why he is not liable. Okay. And the next is the necessity. If there is any necessity, whether it is a public or private necessity, if any tortious act is committed by the defendant, he can take the plea that it was a public necessity or a private necessity. That's why the tortious act was committed. The example of this necessity could be, suppose a major fire has broken in a particular city, and the A is a person, his house is in between the fire. Okay, in between the fire, he tried to save his property, all his assets and his house. And the B is a government authority. He gives an order to demolish that house to stop the progress of fire to the other houses, and in that case the house of the A is demolished to stop the progress of the fire. In that case, under the public necessity, his house was demolished, although the tortious act has been committed by the B. B is a governmental authority. Under the public necessity, his house was demolished to stop the progress of fire. In that case, the plea can be taken by the defendant that under a public necessity, his house was demolished to stop the fire to reach to the other houses. So in that case, he can be absolved of the liability. Next is the break in the causal chain. If some third party has intervened in the chain of causation, so that could be the another defense available to the defendant. Novus actus interveniens. There is one legal maxim. If third party has intervened, third party intervention is in the causal connection between in the chain of activity. In that case, he can take the plea of this defense. Now we come to the damage. These are the defenses available to the defendant. Suppose these defenses are not available to the, suppose the defendant is not able to defend himself by using this defense, he is liable. So in that case, the damage has to be paid. Damage has to be paid by the defendant. So what type of damage can be paid? The first is compensatory damage, and the next is exemplary damage and the injunctive relief. These are the types. Whether the the damage compensation can be paid by the defendant or injunctive relief. These are the prayer that can be made by the plaintiff to the court whether this person should pay the damage or injunctive relief should be issued against the defendant. The first is compensatory damage. In the compensatory damage, the compensation is paid by the defendant to the plaintiff. Here the risk and the damage whatever has been caused to the plaintiff is distributed, transferred to the defendant also. The defendant, because he has committed a tortious act, so he has bear the loss also. The plaintiff should not only bear the losses should be borne by the defendant also. So this is compensatory damage. Next is exemplary damage or punitive damage. Exemplary damage is paid in a rare compensatory damage is paid in majority of the cases, but the exemplary damage or punitive damage is paid in a very limited cases. If the statute has authorized to impose a exemplary damage on the defendant, then this is used. Exemplary damage or punitive damage, it is harsh type of damage. Here in compensatory damage, what happens, whatever the loss has been caused and the quantum of the compensation has to be decided according to laws. But in exemplary damage, the quantum of compensation could be more than loss, because it has to set an example for the others also, to reform the defendant and to deter the others from committing such type of tortious act. And that is in 3 cases this exemplary damage is awarded. The first is oppressive. It should be oppressive, arbitrary and unconstitutional action by the governmental servant. If any oppressive act tortious act has been committed by the defendant, if any arbitrary act has been committed or unconstitutional action has been taken by the government servant, in those cases exemplary damage is paid. So here we need to understand the difference between compensatory and exemplary. In compensatory damage, the quantum of compensation will be according to the loss. It could not be more than the loss, because the unliquidated damage, it has to be decided by the court. Whatever the loss has been suffered by the plaintiff, it has to be compensated accordingly. But in exemplary damage, it could be more than the loss, to set an example for the others, to deter the others. Like in case of absolute liability, if something some gas leak, oleum gas leak case, you can take example. In that case, if the loss has been committed, if the loss has been caused to of 2000 crore rupees, and if the damage is being paid by the defendant of 3000 crore rupees, so here it is an example of exemplary damage. It is a punitive damage, because why such type of compensation is being paid or by the defendant, to set an example for the others, to deter the others to commit such type of tortious act. Now we come to the injunctive relief. Here injunction is issued against the defendant to discontinue the tortious act that was being committed by the defendant. So that is called the injunctive relief. Here the damage is not being paid, compensation is not being paid, monetary compensation. Here the court is issuing the order to stop or discontinue the tortious act that is being committed by the defendant. The example could be, suppose I am operating a chemical factory, I am using a noisy machine in a residential area. One of the resident of that area files a case in the court of law for discontinue and relocate my industry from that residential area to the other places. This is the example of injunctive relief. if the court orders that the company that industry should be relocated from this place to the other place, so that the peaceful life can be enjoyed by the resident of that area. So that is the example of injunctive relief. So this is all about analyzing a tort case. If there is any confusion, you can ask. हेलो
हाँ
हेलो
संजय सर, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ हाँ हो गया सर।
ठीक है, आइए मीटिंग, आइए स्क्रीन शेयर बंद करिए।